Wow. That looks like a couple of hundred people.
Yeah.
I wonder what the police are thinking.
I have no idea. I'm actually quite surprised that he even went in the venue, because we've seen like in Calgary sometimes where this sort of stuff breaks out in Calgary, which like makes more sense that it breaks out in Calgary. But we've seen him just sort of find another way to get into the venue way later rather than run the gauntlet of angry Canadians, which may or may not end up in a viral social media clip, as is the case here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there were people on the other side. I've seen that happen here in Vancouver where they go to the, like all angles of the door and they're just ready. But that looked like a couple of hundred people. And what might not be obvious to people watching this is that these types of Trudeau protests are organic and sudden. Like people just find out about them usually that day, maybe the night before, and they come out, and sometimes they're coming out during work hours and things like that. It's just organically popping up, and that seemed like quite a few people there. So yeah, I don't know, like what kind of person do you have to be just to think that this is like just completely normal, it's every day on the job, if that's what he really thinks. That's what he acts like anyways.
Yeah, it's and the reason these protests have been so organic is because the Liberals have been hiding the locations of their fundraisers. Like normally this stuff breaks out at a fundraiser because they don't really have these like off-site cabinet meetings. They usually have them on Parliament Hill, and normals can't get on to where these things happen at Parliament Hill. Even unaccredited, unapproved journalists, like we don't need permission from our enemies to do our jobs, but the press gallery in Ottawa controls who has access to the Hill for journalistic missions, which is why if people have seen young William, he can only ask questions out on the street and not as they're coming and going on Parliament Hill. But the Liberals just recently got in a big heap of trouble from the elections commissioner, the federal elections commissioner, because it is illegal to hide the locations of your fundraisers from the general public. And it is illegal to hide who will be appearing at the fundraiser. Now, sometimes they'll say, and special guests, but they have to say, like, if the prime minister is coming or if a cabinet minister is coming or whomever the fundraiser's for, it's an elections finance law that you have to say where it is and who's coming. And they've been hiding that until there was a ruling maybe 2-3 weeks ago by the elections commissioner saying, you guys can't hide this stuff anymore. That's illegal. And
really,
we know why you're doing it, because you don't want this stuff to happen. And so a lot of the times when people are finding out about the fundraiser, it was somebody who signed up to go to the fundraiser, or who, you know, who like was a plant to go to the fundraiser. So you get information on it. Or in some instances, I believe it was leaked by people in the venue who were like, we're not sure we want these people here, or, you know, we're happy to take their business, but we also believe in people being allowed to speak truth to power, as is the case there. So we're going to see more of this, and it's going to be more organized and quite a bit louder, because the Liberals can't play fast and loose with the rules anymore. And if we are headed into election season, I'm not sure if we are or not. It's always sort of electioneering season if you're Justin Trudeau. I think it's only going to get worse for the Liberals. They can't do the things they were doing before to hide this stuff.
Yeah, and they're trying to adapt to it instead of just being the type of leadership that acknowledges the people and their concerns. You know what I mean? You could probably diffuse it by addressing so many Canadians who have these certain specific issues that they're just trying to make clear. They're just trying to be heard, just like every other Canadian who has a concern here. So
let's go to this second clip. It's Trudeau responding to protesters who had been heckling him. So this is him responding to being asked about, hey, there's like 500 people showing up to heckle you on the street. Maybe you aren't as beloved as you think you are. Somebody actually had the audacity to ask him about it. I think it was a mainstream media journalist. So there's a couple good ones out there, maybe. Maybe they don't like their job. They're trying to get fired, so they asked the Prime Minister a tough question. So let's see this.
Prime Minister, there's video that has emerged of you last night leaving a restaurant here in Hamilton, a crowd of protesters surrounding you, obviously very angry at you and your government. I wonder whether you felt that was a secure situation for you and why.
First of all, let me say that the welcome that I've gotten here in Hamilton has been extraordinary. The people I've met,
yeah, that's one way of putting
the students here, the folks and teams that I met in various places during our couple of days here have been thoughtful and open and warm. And a handful of angry people do not define what Hamilton is or what democracy in this country is.
I'm pretty sure the handful is clapping behind you.
Really important in our democracy that people can express their disagreement or displeasure or even anger with various governments. That's really important. And at the same time, our police services and institutions will ensure that those protests remain peaceful and law-abiding. That's something that really matters, and we'll always ensure that people are free to express their perspective, but make sure that everyone understands that a handful of people don't represent Hamilton.
He has learned nothing, absolutely nothing from calling people a small fringe minority. He's doing the same thing, switching the words, downplaying the concerns, and it only makes people more and more upset with him.